Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Creative Cottage Studio in Tape and Twine. How are you? I hope you're doing okay as the world is starting to open up. It's a crazy time. It's kind of a hard time, especially in the United States right now. And I've been struggling to get my video up all May. I've been doing it in little bits and pieces and really feeling the pressure to put something out there for you guys. And then when I put it all together, I just felt like it was too much of a mismatch of things, and I decided to scrap it at the last minute. So instead of a tea with me, I'm going to do a tour with me, and we're going to tour my cottage, my Creative Cottage studio. I thought it might be neat to show you the space that I feel most creative in, and show you some of the things that I surround myself with. And I know I really enjoy when I see other people's studios and creative spaces, so hopefully you'll enjoy my little tour. I'm going to take you a little tour on this space and then my new veggie garden that my husband just built me. And then I'll work on more papercraft content for June. So grab a cuppa if you'd like and join me on a little tour. Come on. So let me just say first, this is just a shed, a she shed as you will. And my husband gave it to me for my 20th wedding anniversary back in 2013. So we're talking, it is 7 years old and it still is not fully insulated. As you can see, only the roof started. Our intentions were to insulate it. I think I have even a partial wall right here. But we never did get to insulate it, and now it's full, and my husband has lots of things he has on his schedule to do. I need a sip of water. So it just hasn't gotten done. So because I have a studio in a shed and it's not insulated, I can only work in here when the seasons cooperate, which means spring and fall, and in the summertime I can work in the mornings and sometimes at night. So I thought what I would do is give you a little tour of, I've moved down here for the summer. Sometimes I don't move down here for the summer, but because my college age son graduated and has moved home, and because my other son is home, and because my husband is working now from home and not traveling, there's just too many people in the house. I get interrupted constantly and there's just not enough space for me. So I have moved down for the summer, and I'm just going to hope that the summer isn't too hot and humid and that I can stay down here for the summer, and then I will figure out where I'm going in the fall. So I'll do a quick scan of the room. Like I said, it's just a shed. It has plywood floors that have paint on them, and it's not fancy, and I probably share my space with a lot of little creepy crawly bugaboos that I don't really want to think about, but it's mine and I love it. So I'll start here in this corner. This is my newest estate sale find, and that is a card catalog, which I have always wanted for organization, and I like to call it the middle-aged woman's memory game, because before I put on tags, I have no idea where anything was, and to try to remember what was in what drawer, it was impossible. And you'll see I have one white tag. That's because my oldest son thought it was, when I didn't have anything in here, he opened it and there was one pencil, so he wrote one pencil, and I think it's funny, so I think I'm going to keep it like that. So that is my card catalog, and inside I have things like like blades and sponges and pads and different tools, pencils and pens, the kinds of stuff we need that are kind of floating around. And I filled this whole thing. I got it last weekend and I filled it in an hour. Like, I have so much crap, so it did not take me long to fill it. And then on top I have this old vintage typewriter, which works. I just need to get a new ribbon for it because the ribbon that came with it is so dry, and I'd really like to start using it, so I need to find a ribbon that will work. Here are all of my mixed media books and a little retro radio that works, but it's just a repro. It was my dad's. And I just got this at an estate sale this weekend, and I thought that was super cute. So that is sort of this organizational area, and I have some more storage underneath. And then I kind of have two workspaces. I have this workspace, which is more for my less messy things, I would say. But I don't know. I just tend to want to journal here. It's prettier. I look outside and I can look at my little sitting space. And I have some, it's just very calm here. So I just think this is where I like to do sort of my smaller projects, my less messy projects, even though it is a glass table and I can scrape it with a blade, so I can do messy things there. And I'm all about little things. I always have been. So I have my little bottles of collectible, beads and baubles and things. Shells and stuff I find. I love cloches, and I always have little things behind glass. And then one of the things I love about being outside is I always have fresh flowers from my gardens or something that's blooming. And right now I have these miniature lilacs that come from a bush that my kids gave me for Mother's Day 15 years ago, and the bush is huge now, so I get to have bouquets from it, which is a double gift now, and they smell amazing. And then I have a little organizer with my stuff, and then I don't know, I think a lot of us have these artists have these little bendable figures, but she sort of has become my collect-all for fibers, and I need to name her. I don't know what I'm going to name her. If you have any suggestions, tell me. She keeps me company at my little desk here. And then moving on, I have this area here, which is where I'm making my fabric packs from, and it's filled to the brim with all sorts of batik fabrics and cottons and vintage fabrics and vintage textiles and linens and lots of doilies and handkerchiefs. So that is all stuff that will be going in the shop or be scanned. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. And then what would an artist be without a lot of unfinished projects? Here are two watercolors I'm working on. I still haven't even taken the masking liquid off of this, and I haven't even finished either one of these. And then up here was something I started in acrylics and I never finished, and now I'm thinking I'm going to make it into mixed media. Up here I have a variety of pictures, mostly art the kids did for me right there, which I just kind of love. When my husband gave me the studio, he had the kids paint me pictures, so I love that. And that arrow is kind of special because I kind of have this philosophy of follow your own arrow. So arrows are kind of a big deal to me. And then I have some pen and ink I did, some acrylic, some watercolor that I've done. Just, a bunch of miscellaneous projects I've done over the years. A sun that I literally made in high school that I still have, that I made in ceramics class. And then just lots of little baubles. As much as I'm bummed it's not insulated and I don't have walls, I have so many little things in these nooks and crannies. I don't really know what I would do if I had walls put in. I'd have to figure out where to put this stuff. So this is that first wall. My linens and my workspace. And then going over to the back wall, I have this big organizer of shelves that I have a lot of containers in, because I make a lot of little miniature gardens out of clay and out of florals. So over the years, I've collected a lot of containers. When I first started my business, that's mostly what I did, was miniature gardens. So I still have a lot left over from that. And those are some of them. And down here I keep a lot of my paints, my watercolors. I don't keep a lot out here. I'll go inside and get them, only because the heat and the cold can just play havoc on them, so I only bring what I need out here. Then I found this piece at a vintage flea market. It didn't have the boxes in it. I don't know what it was used for, but I loved it, and it's now has all these shoe boxes in it, and it's just organization, and it has my tools and paper, you name it. I have everything from seashells and feathers in here to rocks and shells and art supplies. And then I have lots of little bottles with, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen a post I did on this recently. I have all these little bottles of shells and specimens. When I first got the studio, my kids were in probably like 5th and 7th grade, and the neighbor, we have all boys around here, and I like creepy crawly things, so they would leave little dead things on my doorstep for me to paint and draw and study, and I would put them in jars, so I have a lot of them. And then this was a little shadow box. I don't know, I'm getting a lot of reflection. One of the first projects I made out of clay. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little gnome. I absolutely adore gnomes and have pretty much my whole life. And so that's kind of a big deal. I always have gnomes around me. Here's my gnome book right here. Here's a little clay piece that I made, this little journal book, which I think I have a video on my YouTube channel about how to make these little books. Pretty sure I did one of those. And then I move on to more little bottles of gemstones and marbles and specimens, things like that. And up here, where it says Patches, when I was a kid, I had a goat named Patches, and this was the carved sign my dad made for her pen. And I don't know, I have things like that. I have so many sentimental things in here that you couldn't put in a house or couldn't put somewhere else. So they're great here. And then I have my little mushroom organizer. So that is the back wall. And then kind of panning over here, I'm on the front wall. Well, I don't know, one of the other walls. And this is my other workspace. So this is sort of my messy workspace. This is where I do a lot of my mixed media. I have a project going right now that has like a bunch of little papers and stuff on it. I don't know, it's just sort of evolving. I kind of loved this old picture from 1918 of the Spanish flu, and I thought it was very appropriate to what's going on now. So I'm kind of working on a piece right now. Again, more fresh flowers because they're blooming in my garden, and I love bringing them in here. Then I have some more artwork. This was a picture my son did of himself when he was, I think, in 6th grade, and I just love that picture. And a little watercolor that I did. And then again, more unfinished projects. I was doing some acrylics, and I was going to do a 4-piece set on insects, and I only got 2 3/4 of the way through. I have not worked on my butterfly, and I did not finish the dragonfly. Maybe I'll finish it, maybe I won't. And then there's a picture I did back in high school. And then that beautiful acrylic is a very special place to me and my family, and a girlfriend of mine painted that for me, and I just love it. It's sort of that folk art style. And then just some more pen and ink and projects that I've done over the years with paper and watercolors. And then more bottles of things. So coming back down here to my messy work table here, that you can kind of see, I'm so lucky because I look over the marsh outside, and you'll see I have one solar panel in the back there, and that provides electricity to these outlets on my converter so that I can get lights, which I have up here. I can only get lights for a few hours at night, but it's enough electricity or enough power to charge my phone and to use a glue gun and to have electricity. So that's kind of cool. And the only thing that really I'm missing out here that I wish I could have was my sewing machine, but it's just not enough power to power that. So I have that workstation, and then I have more drawers holding all sorts of things. And yes, I have a rolling pin, because why wouldn't you have a rolling pin in your art studio? And then I have lots of little things and vignettes, because that's what I love, having lots of little things that I love surrounding me and inspiring me. And then I go to this corner and I have this Chaise Lounge that I bought at a yard sale for $5 almost 20 years ago. And it's not in the greatest shape if I showed you, but I just love it. And I come down here and I read and I take naps, and it's my favorite place to hang out. And I just have a bunch of old pillows and things that I have on it right now, and then a book I'm reading that everybody I know has read and has told me to to read, and I am doing that. So maybe that will be next month's recommendation. We'll see. And then I have this unit here, which I have had since I was a kid. It's 2 vintage Coke bottle cases, and it's just full of little tiny things from my childhood, little tiny things I couldn't get rid of from my children's childhood, little antiques and painted rocks and natural things. You name it, it's in here. And then I have some old tins on the top. And let me see, a little acrylic gnome piece that I did. And then all these bottles here we found in the ground on this property. It was an old farmhouse property that our house was built on, and when we did a lot of the landscaping, we would find them inside the ground. So I just kind of started collecting them. I just think they're so cool. So that is this corner, and then looking out the front window, again, that is my yard and my marsh. And I have things like everywhere. I have, like, down here is where I have all my fussy cut stuff, so that I can sit in the Chaise Lounge and fussy cut on an old ladder, step ladder. I have bottles and twines and containers. Oh, and I have a bunch of duck whistles because I get ducks out front. And then I have a transom light up here. I don't know if you can see it. And I have like these glass things that are hanging that some of my students have given me. And I love those. And then I'll show you a few things that are kind of just special to me. Let's see. So I have like my dad, who's passed away now. I have his old workbench brush that I clean up with. And I just love having little pieces of him in here. I showed you my Patches sign. And then my mom made me this pillow. Isn't it wonderful? Out of buttons. Well, obviously out of buttons. We saw an idea like this together when we were out, and she just made it for me, and I just love it. And I got this old quilt at an estate sale this weekend. It is so damaged, but there are some really beautiful vintage fabrics on it. So I'm going to try to deconstruct it and use some of the intact pieces in kits for you guys. So that'll be exciting and hopefully coming soon. I have my dad's old his old, why can't I think of the name of this? It'll come to me after, but his old vise. I do have an old anvil too, but it's not down here. And then I have another pillow my mom made. If you guys know about Zentangling, she's entangled a pillow for me. Isn't that awesome? And then I just have lots of little tiny things that were my kids and projects and things that people gave me. So I'll just do a quick pan so you can this space kind of makes sense. And I feel very, very lucky to have it, even though I can't use it as much as I want. But this summer, I'm really, really hoping I can be down here every single day working. I'd like to be one of those people that is, everything is neat and tidy and pretty, but this is really who I am. A hodgepodge of eclectic things and being surrounded by nature and little things, and I don't know, it's where I can just feel like me. This is the front door right here. And then I'm going to show you the outside. Okay, here we are outside. In full disclosure, I have not done as much gardening as I should have. My front steps, when we first got it, my husband put these stones here. And then when he went to build me a stairway, I told him no. I just loved them the way they are. And my little garden is kind of a haphazard mess. I love my phlox, but the grass grows through it and I can't seem to tame it. I have little mushrooms, and if a piece of china breaks and I just really love it, I'll have it, I don't know if you can get it, I'll have it sticking out of the ground. I have a lot of natural things that grow naturally in New Hampshire down here. I don't think it's focusing. Here we go. And then I'm only going to show you this quick because it's in such poor shape. I have an arch and a garden here that I haven't done anything with yet this year. And then this is the marsh that I look over. And here you're going to see my pup. My almost 9-year-old rescue from Puerto Rico, Honey. Honey girl! Oh, she's on the scent of something. And then we have this old apple tree that is super old, probably about 100 years old, part of the old farm. And it does give apples, but it needs help. The apples are always like so overrun with little insects. So moving from our apple tree, let me come out so that you can see my studio from the outside. This is my little sitting area. It's very peaceful and I love it. We are on a main road on one side, so you can hear cars sometimes during the day. And then in here, again, no perfection here. I really need to do a little bit more cleaning up. It's been very windy, so a lot of stuff is blown in here, but I have my little sitting set and little bits and pieces around, and some pots that I put my gnomes and mushrooms in. And I'll put fairy gardens out here too. I just haven't had a chance yet. And that's the side window where one of my workstations is. And that's my garden. So this is my little studio, and really happy you could join me and check it out. It's probably the best gift I ever received, and I know how fortunate I am to have it. So when I post things on Instagram or talk about my studio, now you'll know. Okay, now I'm going to show you what we've been up to over the quarantine, and that is creating a garden. My husband has built me a veggie garden. I've decided I don't want to be at the community garden anymore. We have the space at home, but we also have lots of animals here because we have so much woods. So he's had to really make it like really strong against critters. It's not quite finished. We still need a gate and a sign, which I'm trying to figure out a cute sign to write on it. My son wants it to be called the Garden of Eden. Get it? I think that's cute. Maybe it will be. And I'll show you around. Okay, so let's go inside. So I have a pepper patch of hot peppers and some cabbage and radishes, lots of tomato, and I'm growing basil here. So these are my bigger tomatoes, like regular sized tomatoes, and then over here are going to be all my grape and cherry tomatoes. I have finger eggplants over here and cucumber over there. And then, believe it or not, this teepee that I'm going to hopefully get my zucchini to go around is made out of old sunflower stalks. I grow mammoth sunflowers in the community garden, and I have a bunch of them, and look how thick they are. Isn't it crazy? So my seeds haven't popped out of the ground yet here for my zucchini. But I got some cabbage, and then my peas. This is my first year growing peas. I'm very excited about that. And I have onions and another lone tomato. And my broccoli looks amazing. That was the first thing I put in mid-May. I was really pushing it, but I had started them inside and they got so big I had to bring them out. In my lettuce patch I've already been eating out of, I was able to finally plant an asparagus patch, but I know I won't get anything till next year. And then I'm trying to grow gourds, the kind that you make birdhouses in. So that's what those two hills are. And then I have some more radishes. And then over here I have butternut squash, my favorite flowers to eat, nasturtium. And I just love how they look anyway. And then I have some pumpkins over here. So that is my little garden. I'm super thrilled with it, and can't wait to... I have water. He has a hose coming out. In the community garden, everything had to be by buckets. I would spend so much time, and I couldn't grow things that were long seasoned. So I'm excited about that. And you can kind of hear my feet crunching. You put in stone. So very, very exciting. And it's a very, very peaceful area. Tons of birds. It's great in the morning before it gets too sunny out here. And I'm looking forward to lots and lots of veggies. So that's it. Thanks for joining me to see my garden. Okay, so I'm outside the garden and I'm going around the back now. And I just wanted to show you one other thing in my yard that I love. And that is our, I don't know if you can see it through here. It's our boardwalk that my son, there's my solar panel. And there's my studio. It is a boardwalk that my son and my husband created so that we could cross the marsh with the dogs. Some nice banging there. The only problem is the cattails grow right through and we have to pull them out. See, we have to pull them out like every week out of there, or else we can't walk on it. And that gives me the ability to cross the boardwalk and cross the marsh, and I can stop and observe birds from here and see? And we get lots of, oh my gosh, I haven't been over here in a week. Obviously the cattails have sprung. We will have to pull them this week. That's so funny. And up here at the back end of our marsh, there's always so many wildflowers. We see deer back here. We've seen moose back here, black bear, you name it, we've seen it. So there's the garden and the boardwalk, and behind all that bushy area is my studio. We'll get there in 1 second. Sorry to, hopefully I'm not making you too sick. See my neighbors. Again, we have a lot of wild blackberries that grow here. A lot of people think they're just like weeds, but I love making jam out of them. So there we are. There's the cottage in there. There's Creative Cottage Studio. And the marsh, I don't know why there's fireworks going off. There's the marsh. It fills in with this, like, there's water all under there, but in the spring it fills in with this fine grass. And the ducks can still swim through there, but it's hard to see the water if you're not right up close to it. And we have tons of frogs and wildlife that come down here. The only negative is the road. And there it is. So that's it. That's my tour with me today. Thank you for coming and visiting and taking a peek into my studio and my everyday places that inspire me. And I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to know what you surround yourself with to make you feel creative. I'd love for you to name her. And since tomorrow is June, I will start working on a real tea with me for June and hopefully have some more content coming now that I'm down here on a daily basis. So take care, be safe, and see you in June. Bye.